We're watching tonight on this election day is who will take the at-large seat on Albemarle County School Board. Yeah, most years this race does not get a lot of attention, but this year the candidates have gone all out with campaign ads and lots of spending. NBC 29's Maggie Glass live in the newsroom to kick off our Decision Virginia coverage with our top story at 10. Hi there, Maggie.
Stephen Casey, the fight for the at-large school board seat is between Meg Bryce and Allison Spillman. According to the Virginia Public Access Project, both candidates have spent more than $100,000 going into last month. Right now, according to 25 of the 31 precincts, Allison Spillman is beating Meg Bryce by 57% to Meg Bryce's 43%. We'll have another update for you on our NBC 29 News at 11 in the newsroom. Maggie Glass, NBC 29 News at 10.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Another big race we're watching tonight is who will be the next Culpeper County Sheriff. Incumbent Scott Jenkins has been sheriff since 2012, but he's facing federal charges for allegedly accepting thousands of dollars in bribes in exchange for auxiliary deputy sheriff's badges. So right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the results in that race. He is actually losing at the moment. This is with 15 out of 16 precincts reporting. Timothy Chilton in the lead with 56% of the vote tonight.
People in Nelson County also electing a sheriff, and Mark Embry challenging the incumbent David Hill. Embry having some success, all but one precinct reporting now, and Embry with an 8-point lead over David Hill. So perhaps a change in sheriff in both those localities.
Orange County will also have a new sheriff, either Jason Smith or Stephen LaLuna. And right now, 12 out of 13 precincts reporting. It looks like Jason Smith will be the new sheriff of Orange County.
People in Orange County are also voting tonight for a Commonwealth's attorney, the race between Paige Higginbotham and incumbent Diana Wheeler O'Connell. As we take a look at those results at the moment, again, with just one precinct left to report, another incumbent appears to be going down. Higginbotham with 56% of the vote, again, with just one precinct left to report. A surprise in the works, perhaps, in Albemarle County in the race for one of the seats on the Board of Supervisors. Brad Reichel challenging incumbent Ann Malik. This one is tight with one precinct left to report. Reichel holding a slim 2-point lead over Malik, who was first elected to the Board of Supervisors back in 2008.
And let's take a look now in Charlottesville. People voting to fill 3 seats on city council there. There are only 3 candidates on the ballot. Current councilors Lloyd Snook and Michael Payne and Natalie Oshrin. And here's how the votes are breaking down right now. Natalie Oshrin with the majority of the vote at 34%, followed by Michael Payne and then Lloyd Snook. Shifting our focus now to state races. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin started his election day at a polling place in Ashburn this morning. This was just one of many stops at polling locations all across the Commonwealth all throughout the day. The Republican governor hoping his party holds the state house and flips the Democratic-controlled Senate.
I think results matter. And so now it's time to put it in the hands of the voters, to ask them to send a team to Richmond that can work with me and not against me. And I think Virginia has so many better days ahead of it. We've had a really good two years, but I think we can have a fantastic next 2 years if we can hold our House, flip our Senate.
In 2021, Republicans won a narrow majority in the House of Delegates, 52 to 48. Democrats hold a slim margin in the Senate, 22 to 17.
One of the state races we're watching tonight is who will represent the state Senate 11th district, which includes Charlottesville and Albemarle County. And the Associated Press already calling it for Cree Deeds, the incumbent. He has 63% of the vote with 87% of votes in. Deeds has represented this area, although formerly with the 25th district, now the 11th, since I believe 2001. Yes. Other state race we're watching is who will represent the House of Delegates 55th District, which covers parts of Albemarle, Louisa, Nelson, and Flavanna counties. 88% of the votes in. Amy Laufer with a sizable lead over Steve Harvey. So it looks like Laufer, the Democrat, will take things in District 55.
And we're joined now by J. Miles Coleman with the UVA Center for Politics. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us tonight.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
So what are you thinking so far? Any surprises for you, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, just kind of sticking with our local races here in the Charlottesville, Albemarle County area. If Republicans won either of those two races that we were just talking about, that would have been something of a surprise. But now it looks like from what we're seeing so far, the Democrats are probably going to keep holding the state Senate, excuse me, while the State House is probably still a bit of a toss-up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into that. Governor Youngkin last night voicing the whole hold the Senate, hold the House, flip the Senate.
Yes.
Part two of that isn't going to happen, it looks like. But Democrats have been very optimistic, at least going into tonight, that they could flip the House based a lot on the abortion issue. Is that something that could still happen?
Yes. It's definitely the State House seems like it's still in play. There's been a lot of talk about that issue of abortion, probably one of the main issues of this campaign. Governor Youngkin really tried to rally the Republicans around this idea of a 15-week limit. The Democrats call it a ban. He calls it a limit. So it's one of those issues where, depending on how you message it, that could be a test of how well the Republicans end up doing.
Yeah, and we talked about it right at the beginning of the show. It's been so wild to see this school board race in Albemarle County getting national attention. What do you make of that? Why do you think this was such a big national race?
Yeah, I mean, really ever since the pandemic, it seems like there's been this big focus on these races for school board, which, if you look at just there were hundreds of thousands of bucks being spent in this school board race, which is insane. But, it is, I think probably part of it as well was the family that Meg Bryce was from. She was related to the late Justice Antonin Scalia, sort of a boogeyman for the left.
Yeah.
Real quick, back on the state and possibly potentially national level. So the Senate will stay Democratic. The House we're not sure about yet. What does this mean in terms of Governor Youngkin and what he was hoping to accomplish, and what on a national stage it might have meant for him if the Senate had flipped?
Yeah, I mean, if the Senate had flipped, I mean, Youngkin would have been receiving more presidential buzz. Would he have been a late entrance into the 2024 field? I think maybe some of the good news for Youngkin is with divided government, he still may keep a high approval rating like he does as things are, because he's a conservative, but he really hasn't been able to govern as a conservative in an otherwise blue state. So I was saying on him, he has to be careful what he wishes for if he wants a Republican trifecta.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate your insight and your time tonight, and you'll be back with us on our News at 11 as well.
Sure.
We'll talk with you then. Thank you so much.
All right, and count on NBC 29 to keep you updated throughout the night with election results on all of these state and local races. We'll have some of those results on air during our News at 11 over on NBC 29, and all of the results online at NBC29.com as they come in. J. Miles Coleman with UVA's Center for Politics will be back with us again in studio tonight on your News at 11.